If you're feeling stressed about Tuesday's election, you're not alone. Nearly 70% of respondents in a survey released last month by the American Psychological Association rated the presidential contest as a significant source of stress. East Texas News' Michael Richardson reports on some ways to deal with those feelings and what can cause stress as the election nears.
After 4 years, Americans are once again heading to the polls to vote in the presidential election. With that comes stress for many.
They get stressed and overwhelmed by the idea of, well, their candidate doesn't win. What does that mean for them?
Counselor Ryan Oakley says election-related stress is not significantly different from other forms of worry.
There's always going to be some kind of big change that you're going to face. Occasionally these changes are anticipatory, but a lot of things you don't know are going to happen.
Assistant political science professor at LaTourneau University, Dr. John Barrett, says polarization and social media can contribute to stress during election season.
If you believe that your political opponents are evil and it's an all-stakes game, that there's no second place trophy here, that emotionally puts a lot of pressure on you.
What can be done to reduce election-related stress or anxiety? For one, Oakley recommends taking time for oneself.
It's important to create a routine of self-care, whether that's taking walks outside or spending time with friends, reading books.
Barrett advises limiting screen time to reduce stress.
If you're on your screen and you all of a sudden realize you're emotionally agitated, right? Whatever it is that you're reading, the memes, the videos, the whatever, right? If it's getting you agitated, if it's getting you worked up, shut it off.
Michael Richardson, East Texas News.
The American Psychological Association says the rate of surveyors who view the presidential election as a significant source of stress in their lives has gone up over the past 8 years, from 52% to 69%.